Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in everything is Minna.
We've been talking a lot about the positivity, negativity, social media impact, and all that.
Mhm.
So one of the common themes that we've been seeing a lot is this issue of anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It seems like everyone is just freaking out over one thing or another, and they're telling me that they can't get anything done. We talked about
Yeah,
being
we've
busy.
hear a lot of people getting like panic attacks. They don't know what to do. So that's just the high level anxiety is kind of driving people towards actually less productivity and not getting things done, which actually makes it even worse. It's like a vicious cycle.
It's so true. I was about to say that with all this anxiety, people are so busy with all this stress and anxiety that they can't get any productive work done, right?
And it makes it worse. It just gets you more busy and more anxious, and just it's a downward slope
Spiral.
spiral.
So with anxiety, there's so much negative aspect to it. What's the best way you think people can handle their anxiety?
Well, I think one of the ways that I read is to reframe what your situation is a bit.
Mhm.
So how last we sketchy reframe everything as a situation.
Yes.
I like that. But you can
Yes.
actually reframe your anxiety as a situation as something that might be exciting to you, something that's beneficial to you. Like, what rather than saying, man, this is going to hurt me, I'm going to really, suffer from this. Just think about your situation as excitement, something that can help you build character, maybe that something that is, beneficial for you in the long run.
That is funny that you say that, because coming back from Kansas, I just came back recently from Kansas, and I've been with that movement, becoming the better you, for a while now. But for every single one of my I guess my presentations, everything was working perfectly, and just like Diana said, it was a situation. My timer was gone, my slides were gone, and then the guy before me like took up some of my time too because he thought he was the last person on stage. So needless to say, I had some anxiety getting on stage, and my best friend was holding this little iPad, and she's got the timer like there, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on stage, and I was just totally thrown off. But it literally took me, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds. I'm hoping people didn't notice. But like you said, I had to reframe it. I said, okay, great. How am I going to do a new presentation to engage the people and to take care of this situation, right? And, my best friends are saying, it was a great presentation, amazing that you did, and I was saying, wow, that just like, it was like literally spur of the moment. I did not rehearse it, and it came out well. So like you said, I think reframing it and visualizing how it's going to go in my head, it turned out pretty good, a lot better than I thought it would anyway.
Well, there you go. Now you know that it works. So another way of kind of curbing your anxiety is to try to get a feeling of control, and
Hmm.
that you do that by doing some kind of planning.
Hmm.
So let's say in your situation, in your head, you are planning a different way to engage your
Yes.
audience, right?
Hmm.
So in your head, you kind of have to get a feel and control. You know what to do, and that will help you, curb your anxiety a little bit. You think so?
I think so when you have control. So yeah, I think that aspect of control is a little bit of homework, and I think that's good. But I think once you become very good at it, I think your mind can shift very quickly to different changing situations, right?
For sure.
Hmm.
And you can gosh almost visualize a different outcome based on your situation,
Hmm.
and your presentation probably turned out better than you planned.
At least I think it did. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see the recording to see myself. But it was fun. And I think a lot of things is, we put too much anxiety on us to be perfect, right? Because we want to have everything perfect. When people launch books, they want it perfect. When they launch a business, they want it perfect. When they want to start a new job, they want to find the perfect job. But I think, what do you think we should be choosing over being perfect?
Well, when in terms of productivity wise, perfectionism isn't really something you want at all. So you want to chase rather than doing perfect, you want to do an excellent job. You want to do a great job. But perfectionism is a thing that is a made up thing, right? It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have that perfect wedding. There's always going to be something that's wrong. And even if everything went the way you planned, it could always have been better if you do something else. So the perfectionism, the thought process is that there's no such thing as perfectionism. You can always just chase excellence, and that's the best you can do.
So always do the best that you can during the time, and always be improving yourself, because like you said, you can't be perfect if you're going to be better at what you do tomorrow, right?
For sure. We see a lot of that in like software launch or any kind of launching process, any kind of launching projects. If you wait for a product to be perfect to launch, you're never going to have a product to launch. Look at all these Windows software that has severe bugs every time it came out. It's just never going to be perfect, but you have to launch it. You have to get people, you have to get it out and just keep improving. And that's what excellence is for.
That is so true, because if you don't get it out there, you wouldn't know how to improve upon it either, because like in your head, it may be perfect for what you think, but it may not be perfect for what for the people that you're designing it for, right?
Yes, there are certain things that, wow, it seems like it's such a big launch and such a big push that everybody wants it, and then it comes out, nobody wants it. It's like that. Can I say it? It's the Ford electric car. So they did market research, they did launch it, and they did all this market research. People say they love it, they like the concept, they are definitely going to buy it. And you know what? I think we've seen like 3 on the road.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You can only do so much with market research. You can only do so much, and all this is just giving you anxiety. Just get it out there and improve upon it, right?
Yeah. So the best way to curb anxiety is just do something about it. Don't worry about it. Just be happy and do something about it.
That's right. And on today's guest, we are going to have Greg Stewart talking about how you can handle all these negative thoughts that may be causing all this anxiety.
Well, there you go.
We'll be right back. All right, strap in, folks. We're about to take a joyride through the fountain of youth. It's Annie Nam from Chronically Healthy Life. Ever wonder why some folks seem to age like fine wine, while others are more like a molded cheese that's been forgotten in the back of the fridge? It's like they got the energy of a Duracell bunny on Red Bull, while the rest of us are running on fumes. Now, you might think hitting the gym and munching on kale is the ticket to eternal youth, but sometimes it feels more like we're just speeding up the aging process. Picture this. You're on the treadmill, feeling like $1,000,000, and suddenly you look down and realize your knees sound like a bag of popcorn in the microwave. Not exactly the sound of youth, am I right? But fear not, my friends, because here's the kicker. It's not just about the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's all about those sneaky little stem cells playing hide and seek inside your body. At the age of 20, you got more of these bad boys than you can shake a stick at. But fast forward a few decades, and they're scarce as a parking spot in downtown Manhattan. But guess what? We got a secret weapon up our sleeves. Phototherapy patch technology without drugs. That's right, folks. With our stem cell activation patches, you can hit the rewind button on aging faster than you can say reverse aging. So if you're ready to reclaim your youth, look younger, feel stronger, and heal faster than a superhero with a side of espresso, then it's time to hop on board the rejuvenation train. Get your stem cell activation patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. And let's make aging look like yesterday's news. It's not anti-aging, it's reverse aging, baby.
Hey everyone. On this week's show, Dr. Greg Stewart is going to be talking to us about developing emotional intelligence and what that actually looks like. And I started thinking about how we could teach our kids from a very young age to develop that emotional intelligence, because I think it's a very neglected thing in our world. And it starts with taking responsibility for ourselves. So let's say, for example, that you walk in on your two kids and they're fighting over a toy, and they're screaming at each other. You started it. You hit me. You did this. You did that. We all know that goes nowhere, and there's never a solution to that. So as Dr. Greg will talk about in the show, if you can bring it to well, now who started this? And then they'll tell you, kids are pretty honest. Well, I said she was ugly. Well, is that true? Well, no. All right. Well, do you see how saying something like that could hurt her feelings? Yes. Well, how can we make that better? Well, I'll say, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean that. You're not ugly. And then the other child, you start saying, it wasn't true. It's not true that you're ugly. So why would you escalate into this big thing when it's not true? We don't need to get worried about people saying things about us that aren't true. And kind of get this learning the communication from an authentic, empowered place within us. I think that if our kids could start learning that at a young age, imagine how they would be as adults and how much better they will, as a force, make this world. Right? So let's start thinking about that. Pay attention. Today's show is extremely important, folks. So we'll talk soon. Ciao for now. Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. It is my privilege to introduce you to Dr. Greg Stewart today. He has a great deal of expertise, and he's the owner of Becoming More. He leverages his doctorate in counseling and has a visionary perspective. He explores ingrained habits and emotional intricacies to help individuals enhance their ability to navigate intrapersonal and interpersonal interactions. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Our topic today is unlocking the inner strength behind your negative emotions. That really intrigued me because I think we all have a tendency to think, oh, I feel angry. That's bad. I have to stop being angry.
Exactly. Yeah. And the negative emotion, I mean, obviously the logic of it is that none of us want to experience negative emotions, but they're absolutely a part of our lives. So I try to help clients unpack, why they're there to begin with, but also what they mean behind it, which is the unlocking the inner strength, because they could actually be very powerful in helping us grow, again, intrapersonally and interpersonally.
Just let's define those two terms for people so that we make sure they know the difference between intrapersonal and interpersonal.
Right. So intrapersonally is like inside of me. meaning what skills and techniques, insights, what have you, can I use to kind of unpack what's going on inside of me so I feel different, think different, that when it comes to my own meaning and purpose and vision in life. Then interpersonally is, of course, like skill sets and the like between people and relationships, and also kind of like that same understanding with the person I'm talking to. So there's interpersonal skills, but the intrapersonal is all that dialogue and the like that's going on inside of me.
And those are absolutely connected.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, how many times have we talked to someone who's clearly upset about something and you just happen to be there and they lash at you?
Yeah. And vice versa. Right.
Yeah. True.
And that's where I want to begin, in the sense of that. I always talk about like negative emotions are there. They're not bad, because it's just simply put, when we're trying to solve a problem, like, oh, I have to pick up my kid, or I have to do the laundry or do the dishes. I mean, that's a negative emotion. It's stress, and it's just part of life. And it's not a bad thing because it's necessary. The issue is, let's say in interpersonal relationships, when I have the negative emotion, but honestly, after we boil it out down on a scale of 1 to 10, it's really kind of only a level of a 1 or a 2 level of importance. But I'm feeling the level of, I call it emotion as energy, emotional energy of like a 6, 7, or 8. So I'm basically adding, a whole package of negative emotions to the situation that should not be there. So that's what we kind of want to unpack and say, what's going on with that? Now, there might be something legitimate to address with the person, saying, hey, that upset me or didn't meet my expectations. That's legitimate. That's what the negative energy is for. But when we come at each other with a 6, 7, or 8, it's going to cause damage. But that 6, 7, or 8 is, we can't get it out of our minds because we're processing them. They're the ones that trigger the negative emotion, but we're not seeing that what's actually going on is something inside of here that needs to be addressed. It's the negative emotions are doorways to something deeper within us, actually, is what's going on.
It's kind of like that straw that broke the camel's back thing. It's like we're already at a 5, and then somebody just drops something on us, and it's minor, and we go, wow.
Yes. Yeah. Because our tank is already full. Or it could be that I'm at a 0 or 1, but because it's my wife and she says something that exposes insecurities in me, fears, worries. I talk about, that underneath the emotions in the basement's like the machine of identity, value, and worth. Like when we take things personally, what does that mean when we take things personally? That the negative thing, the negative comment or confrontation is hitting my value and worth. I'm allowing it to impact my value and worth when it shouldn't be. That's the insecurity. Or it could be over here in the cellar is like trauma, whether like official big T trauma or just bad experiences that every time I go into a situation that's similar, that cellar door opens up and then throws a bunch of emotion on the situation, because my mental model, my brain is saying, oh goodness, here we go again. And so now there's several reasons why it gets inflated. That would be one. So that's a lot of the reasons. So I have to figure out, I have to heal from this trauma stuff if that's there, or I have to kind of address, like, why is my value and worth contingent upon someone else's validation or pursuit of me? That's not their issue. That's my issue. And that's a major reason for the inflation, right? They're doing something very legitimate. And maybe like my wife addresses something with me that's very valid and rational, and she even does it in a loving way, but it triggers me. So I lash out. So there's several reasons why there's that inflation there. So that's what we kind of have to unpack. But when we do, and I start kind of addressing my value and worth, right? Stabilizing it, solidifying it. And then I start healing from my trauma. Because what does everybody say when they heal from trauma? I'm stronger now than I've ever been. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, but I'm stronger now than I've ever been. But if we're not healed, right? So that's where the inner strength is, the healing. And so when you walk through all of it, there's so much strength and peace and rest available to us. That's what we have to kind of tap into. That's unlocking the inner strength. And the negative emotions, like I do insecurity, anxiety, fear, worry, anger, and depression. Those daily negative emotions that we all experience are actually pathways to the deeper stuff. But we can't avoid these negative emotions. We have to step into them. Walk right in.
Absolutely. I always say the only way out is through.
Yes, yeah, perfect. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So when, like, picture a house, we're standing outside the house and I have these negative emotions and I'm looking at whatever, the tree, the bird, the dog, the person, and I'm just burning all this energy on outside. What I need to do is I need to turn around. I need to walk in the front door of the house of my heart. All right. Because again, if I say that the solution to my negative emotions is you changing, I'm done now, right? Because now I can't be at peace until you apologize or something's different about you. And that's not the case at all. So it's actually, when we say this, I say that all negative emotions exposing something in me, that's where we begin. I turn around and actually it takes the power away from the environment, right? When I do that, it's like, because my healing, my solution, my whatever is not contingent upon the environment changing or doing something different. And that's the empowerment piece. That's the freedom piece, right? So we have to walk into the house of our heart and emotions and, deal with these negative emotions plus what's going on in the basement. That's the
absolutely. Key. Absolutely. And I mean, it's real easy when you're in an obvious situation. Like, for example, you've had the death of a loved one, or you're going through a divorce or something big life event that everybody will be kind of gentle around you because they know you're going through it. But it's the daily things that can add up that we have to learn how that triggers us.
Yeah. And even like on the death of the loved one, and there's even like divorce, there's kind of a mixture of my negative emotions, plus it's grieving. And just, there's so much, it's okay that even if it was our choice, even if it was our mess up or we did something wrong, we still have to grieve the loss of what should have been or could have been. And I tell clients that when it comes to grieving, if you can differentiate, there's nothing to fix about grieving. Allow yourself, and I put this in my book, that allow yourself to hurt. You've got to be able just to hurt and grieve the loss of whatever somebody else did to you, or even what you did to yourself or did to somebody else. There's loss that we have to grieve the loss and regret, before we go down that healing road. But then those negative emotions we go on, like insecurity is probably the biggest one. It's when you say something that, you insult me, and it's like insecure. When I worked at a residential treatment center with teenage girls that were inpatient for several weeks or months, they would say, "Dr. Greg, she's pushing my buttons." I'd say, "Well, uninstall your buttons." Right? One time this gal said, "Dr. Greg, she called me and she gave me a name." I said, "Well, the issue isn't that she called you that name. The issue is you agree with her. You just don't want her pointing it out." Right? So the issue is not what she thinks of you. The issue is what you think of you. Because if I said something to you, Christy, that like, Christy, I'm really concerned about, your stealing of cars. And you're like, okay, we're on a podcast and he's accused me of stealing cars. It would not trigger you emotionally because it's not true. And that's the whole point of like the insecurity. A lot of times we might exaggerate it, but the issue is that because when we trash talk each other, we're only going to kind of use like true stuff, right? Or else it wouldn't work. I mean, unless we're insane. So I'm going to say things that if I know you, that I'm going to tease you or trigger you because I want to push your buttons. And those buttons have elements of truth to it. So the issue is to uninstall the buttons by owning it. Like the girls would say to me, I told them, I said, "Try and trigger me, girls." And they say, "Okay, Dr. Greg, you have a big nose, your hair's thinning, you have a dad body, and you're so ADHD extra." And I simply said, "Girls, everything you said is 100% true. I own it. Now what?" Literally, this happened. Literally, their response was nothing. So when literally they were tough gals, right?
Yeah.
But when we own it and it's true, people actually respect us, right? And we take away all their power. There's no buttons that they could push. Because that's true. Now, I thought the whole ADHD extra thing, when they started saying that to me, I thought that was a compliment. So I have no idea what that means, but sounds like a compliment. So thank you. I'm extra, right? So that's the key, right?
I love that. I kind of do that if someone calls me weird. I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I am. I'm really weird. You don't know the half of it."
Exactly. Right. And like on the digs, I do exactly what you just did. I say, when somebody gives you a dig, tries to do a little dig, I say, own it and make it worse. Meaning, oh my gosh, yeah, not only am I weird, you don't know the half of it. Because at that point, there's nowhere for them to take it because they already gave you their worst by the dig. But when you all just accept it, even if it's not true, I don't care. Somebody like teases me, I'm like, you're absolutely right. Matter of fact, I'm surprised I'm not arrested or something crazy like that. There's nowhere for them to take it. It just takes all the power away from the environment, you know? So that's the key in this whole process is how do you, right? I like saying to clients, look, get to the point of saying and acting like nothing bothers me unless it should. Right. Instead of being triggered and having this, whatever, 6, 7, 8, and trying to work yourself back, just begin with, look, nothing bothers me unless it should bother me, which means because sometimes people have too low of negative energy. They should burn energy by addressing a problem, but they don't. So nothing bothers me unless it should. But we have to get to that point of like, if it's true, own it and deal with it, work on it. If it's not true, then it's like, why is it even producing negative emotion? Right. And that's the key. So it's empowering each of us to completely separate ourselves from the environment. And the environment has no power over my emotions, unless it should, of course, or definitely doesn't have any power over my identity, value, and worth. I don't need you to do anything to make me feel better. Now I want you to, so that's what I do need versus want. I need my wife to pursue and validate me. I don't need her to, I want her to, but I don't need her to, right? It's not a need of mine, identity, value, and worth, but it's certainly a want. And relationship, we should want each other to, if we're going to be in a relationship, it's about safety and pursuit, right? So we have to be safe with each other and there has to be pursuit in every relationship, but I don't need it because if it doesn't happen, the relationship just kind of fizzles away, but my identity, value, and worth is not contingent upon it. Right. And that, when you get there and that how freeing that is, right? And how peaceful and at rest you can be, because I just see people just are so weighted down as you do, I'm sure, and troubled and legitimate hurt, but it's literally the word contingent, that their peace, their rest, their happiness is contingent upon either someone else apologizing, someone else owning something, someone else like making them feel better. And until that happens, I can't be at peace or rest or be happy because it's contingent. And we have to remove that contingency. I can be that without that.
Yes. That's yes. And, what it reminds me so much because I've been doing a lot of work around narcissism because long stories, but basically my brother's married to a very vicious narcissist and my mom and I take care of my mom. So we made the choice to separate ourselves from that situation for our peace because there's no point in trying to argue it or fight it or explain it or justify or prove anything. It just doesn't, it goes nowhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when somebody has a personality disorder like narcissism, that I use a technique called have faith. And I don't mean in God. I'm just saying how many times we began a sentence in our mind with, I can't believe she, I can't believe she, I can't believe she. Well, start believing, have faith because it's happening. Right. And again, we always focus on the past. I say transition that to the future. So when you forecast in the future, like we're going to see her again or him again, predict. Now, knowing who she is or who he is, this is how they're going to say when this topic comes up. So you actually have had couples, if it's like a mother or a father or something, predict what they're going to say and make like a dollar bet. No, I think when we bring this up, they're going to respond with A. No, I think it's going to be B. Right. So when it actually happens and the person responds, as like on cue, they're not shocked anybody because we the negative emotions from, I can't believe they're shocked. Yeah. But if you're expecting it, then it creates no emotion. And not only that, then also pre-strategize. Okay, if they say this, what's the most effective response to it? Not the greatest burn. You don't want to just keep, have a burn contest. It's what's the most healthiest response. And when you forecast and strategize, I've had couples come back from like say the holidays or whatever, and they are laughing. They said that was so freeing because it's like everything she said, we just, okay, well, you predicted that one. And then we knew how to respond to it, right? Instead of just being shocked. This is who they are. This is how, that's the interpersonal skill. This is who they are. This is how they're going to respond. And it just equips us. Again, it's literally about our emotional experience. I call it micro and macro goals. So micro is what I'm feeling right now, right? The macro goal has to do with our standard of living, quality of life, and honestly, just peace and rest with our living our values and beliefs. And that's every one of us, every human being ever is trying to maximize our highest quality of life when it comes to our micro and macro emotional goals. And the micro goals, it's like everything around me is triggering me, right? So I have zero control over my quality of life when it comes to the day-to-day experience. That's the insecurity through depression. But the macro, it's when something happens today that's impacting my identity, my worth, or like, my healing when it comes to trauma. Again, it's once we heal those, that's what it's about. It's about our quality of life. Because I say everything we do, every behavior we do is trying to achieve an emotional goal. When I take a drink of my water, I'm thirsty. I don't like feeling thirsty. I want to feel like I'm not thirsty, or hunger, right? Or rest, whatever it is. It's literally an emotional experience we're trying to live out. Everything we do is trying to achieve an emotional goal, whether it be the macro or the micro. So how do we maximize that quality of life experience? Because, man, my whole quality of life sure is like owned by everybody else, or at least I gave it to them. And how do we take it back, right?
Exactly, because you're just giving away your power. And that's what empowerment literally is. It's like, no, my peace is not dependent on you, and like you said, of course I want someone to say something nice or to be nice to me at the grocery store or whatever it is. But, if they're not, it's not right. I'm not doing anything to cause it. So I'm not going to let it affect. That's just like empowerment 101.
Yeah. And so when we kind of train ourselves. So when somebody's quality of life is impacted by what we do, that is legitimate, where we are wrong, it's so much easier for us to own it, saying, listen, like, I own that. I failed you. I didn't meet an expectation. I should have done this or should not have done this because I'm decreasing their quality of life. So if it's valid, right? And if it's true, and that's the key, if it's true, then, they do need to apologize, but, want, not need. But if it's true on me, if I have done something, it's so much easier for me to own it. Like, I failed you and I'm sorry, So that's what gives you peace. So there's almost like, it's my happiness, which is like what's happening, is freed because it's want, not need. But my peace and rest, so much comes from, my macro quality of life and living out my values and beliefs that, what? People think ill of me because of blank. I need to make that right. And once I make it right, how much peace there is after making it right. Because that's what ultimately we're all looking for, is rest and peace. And so my own personal journey, as I talk about in the book, is, at 53 now, once I turned 50, there's wisdom in life, right? So through my own failures, through my own regrets, and through other people and their hurts towards me, right? So, and helping clients walk through it, now it's like, I can say that I have more rest and more peace and more control, if you will, more success in my daily emotional management than I ever have because of these things. So I say everything that I teach my clients has already ran through the system of Greg, 100%. 'Cause this was a journey for me too, an absolute journey for me too, but a powerful one. Not just techniques on saying, effective communication skills with people, which are great, but ultimately it's, instead of just focusing on winning the emotional moment, it's, do I have peace? Am I at rest? Am I just happy at a deeper level? How do I get there? Which is the deeper stuff. And it's just, but the pathway, to go there through the daily emotional management. That's the key. Through that insecurity, through depression, that's my pathway, because that's what's exposing something potentially deeper in me. It's powerful.
It is powerful. That just shifts everything, because instead of looking at the negative emotion as something you have to battle you have to look at it as something that's trying to show you something. What is it trying to show you? Like you just said, is it showing me that I'm being triggered by something? Is it showing me that I have something to work on? Is it showing me that I needed to make an amends to somebody? What's it showing me? That's really powerful.
Right. So I have like 3 opening points before we get into emotions. Like, one is emotion is energy, like I said, right? So just if we frame it as energy instead of emotions, it's more, we can kind of assess it better and control it better because it's emotional energy. How much do I need? But then number 2, it's to have the right type of emotion. Like, for instance, a lot of people say, I have anxiety. When it's not anxiety, it's stress. We have to label it correctly because our brain responds differently. But then there's the right amount. Do I have the right amount? So that's number 2. And number 3, like you just said, is all negative emotion is exposing something in me, which again sounds bad. But when you say that, you take your focus off the external trigger, go inward into your heart and say, okay, what's being exposed with me first? And after you go through that process, then you come out of the intrapersonal process with the right amount of negative emotional energy to do the interpersonal. Like, hey, Chris, I need to talk to you about something really quick. Are we safe? And you go, yeah, what's up? And then I can address it, and you and I can heal, or there's something you need to address with me. And then it's a very successful process, as it should be. So once we figure out what's being exposed, and then we realize that, I'm believing a lie here. I don't think she really, like we always judge motives, right? Oh, she wanted to do that. No, that's just not true, right? So once we kind of delete the lies, that's the other reason for the inflation, or saying, okay, I really wanted Christy to validate me on that, and she didn't seem, like too impressed by it, or she didn't acknowledge like the impact I wanted it to have on her. So, honestly, there's a phrase that teenage girls use, was butt hurt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Butt hurt, right? I thought it was so funny when they said that. I'm like, that is such a perfect phrase. I have no idea what it means, right? But it fits, right? So I was insecure, I was hurt, and I shouldn't have been. But I did ask her for feedback, and I think she could have did a better job on the feedback, because she said she would give me feedback. Right there. That's what I take to Christy. Hey, you promised this, and I wish I would have had more feedback, because my goal was this. And I was honestly hurt. My issue, not yours. I was hurt that I didn't get the feedback, good or bad, that I needed from you. And so I was really upset, but that's my issue. So, but I think it's valid that, because you said you would give me more feedback than you did. See how that works? There it is, right there.
And then that gives the opportunity to the other person to say, oh my God, you're right. I overlooked that. I'm so sorry. Let's do that now.
Yes.
And it just turns into a flow. That's lovely.
Right. And then our relationship is stronger. Right? Because honestly, with relationships, it's how do we, like, because I can trust you now, and you can trust me that, right, that I'm going to, right, if I need to speak truth to you, because that's actually what builds trust, is you're going to be honest with me, but not dump on me, right? And that if I upset you, you'll walk away and kind of figure out, deeper what happened. And that strengthens our relationship. Like, okay, Christy's someone, because again, it's so rare. Christy's someone that's solid, right? She gets it, the it factor, right? And so we're always looking for those people who have high emotional resiliency, who don't just get triggered at everything, because we don't want to be around those people. But when we find the people who are emotionally mature and have a high stress tolerance that we can actually engage with, it's like, oh, I'm safe with her. Right? We can speak truth to each other in a safe way, but we grow deeper, because that's the whole point. Like ironing, sharpening iron. We sharpen each other, like, okay. And Chrissy walks away saying, you know what? He's right. And I do that with people that I just want to, in the moment, say, hey, yeah, I'll give you feedback, but I don't follow through on it. And that's a weakness of mine. So Christy grows, and then Greg grows, like, man, why did I need Christy's validation so bad? All right. That's not okay. I mean, I want it, but I don't need it. But man, it's like, why did I need that so bad? See, so I'm growing at a deeper, richer level too. And you grow. I mean, we all grow. That's the key. Right. If we figure out first what's being exposed in us before we, have that impulse response to each other.
I love that. I love that flow. It just becomes this really genuine. And if someone isn't willing, if it's it's your fault all the time, that they're not emotionally mature. You have to just
right. And that's because now we're not safe So
Yeah.
our relationship can only go so deep, which again is going to be normal. Like they're only at acquaintance level, which, okay. So now I know that our relationship can only go so deep because I'm not safe with them to have the same process I had with Christy. Right. And that, again, that is life. That is life. But like I told this one teenage girl, she was talking about her friendships. I said, look, girl, there are penny friends, nickel friends, dime friends, and quarter friends. Right. So you can't have the expectations of penny friends that you do for the quarter friends. So if the penny and nickel and even dime don't give you the, don't pursue you or validate you like your quarter friends do, then that's okay, because friends move up and down that rhythm. Right. So you just have to realize, like, what are my rational expectations for this? Well, again, I'm going to always use it: penny friend, nickel friend, or dime friend, right? Because there's only really a few quarter friends, and that's life. That is absolute life, and that's okay. Because I don't control other people's emotional responses, right?
Exactly. And then that also explains a lot about why our family, the closest people to us, can trigger us more, because they know those buttons. They're familiar. It's not a stranger or something, or any friend.
Yeah. And absolutely logically, we have given them a large percentage of our value and worth. Right. And because why? She's my wife. They're my parents. As a matter of fact, that's kind of where we get it from. It's kind of like, it's unavoidable for every human being ever. We get our value and worth through what other people think of us. Like, okay, well, I thought I was okay, but mom and dad don't, right? And I say every adult must make the decision at some point to remove every other adult from that value and worth formula. Now, it takes time, but that's why our closest people, because we give them a large percentage of our value and worth.
Greg, I'm loving this conversation. This is amazing and so needed information. But right now, let's tell our audience how they can reach out to you.
Okay. So there's two ways. The website there, becomingmore.com, but the book that I'm writing, which it's going to the editor this week, it'll be on pre-sale in November, but is icubedbook.com. So I and then word cubed and then book.com. And people can sign up for it because I put out a weekly video, and I'm like a 10-minute video, and I walk through this, and that's where you can sign up for my email list to find out when the book's coming out. And also, but I'm already giving videos and training people through this process. So you can find it both at becomingmore.com, and there's a link there to the book, but that's where I'm unpacking all of this, is right through these videos from my book that's coming out.
Oh, fabulous. And so they can use the QR code and get to your book. One I cubed. I love that.
Yeah, I cubed. Information, interpretation, intensity. We didn't touch on that, but that's okay. It's in there.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Thank you.
Well,
and thank you for the opportunity. Yes, and thank you for this opportunity. It was a blast.
Thank you. We'll have you back.
All right, bless you. All right, take care. Thank you.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. Coming up next is Kids Corner.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. Now we have some overripe bananas, and when bananas are too ripe, they're actually very high glycemic. So normally we would either throw it in the freezer, or Andy would turn this into banana cake, but I don't know how to do banana cakes, so I'm doing something else. I'm doing granola bars with it. So what I have here, first thing first, is I have 2 tablespoons of almond butter, and I want this to be a little softer, so I'm going to warm it up a little. So let me put this in a bowl. And I have here 2 tablespoons of honey. Mix that in with the almond butter. Okay, I'm gonna stick that in for just 30 seconds. Okay, so what I have here is 1 cup of rolled oats. So put them all into a glass bowl. This is about half a cup of quinoa, and this is tri-colored quinoa. You can use any kind of quinoa, that's fine. Okay, so we have 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. And of course, everything's organic. And you probably want to mix it up a little. Okay. And I also have, this is probably about a 1/4 cup of chopped up pistachios. And you can choose any nuts. I have 1/4 cup pistachios and a 1/4 cup of hazelnuts. If you have cashews or almonds, macadamia, you know, whatever your favorite is, just chop it up and mix it into the mixture. Here is about 1/3 cup of chopped up dry figs. Figs are really sweet, so you probably don't need that much. You can do a little bit less if you want to. Add that into the mixture, and you put, this is I think this is 2 bananas, so mash it up and pour it in. And my microwave is yelling at me. Okay, we got that. Let's do like a pinch, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of vanilla extract. All right, so all you have to do is mix it up. And you want to line a pan. Probably, if you have 8x8 pan, that would probably be best. I don't have a pan like that, so I'm just gonna line whatever pan I have that fits into the oven. So mix this well. Okay, so all you have to do is pour your mixture onto the pan. If you're making granola bars, you probably want to put it into a square pan so it's nice and straight. But I'm making granola bites, which is going to be whatever shape it's going to be. And it's a little smaller, so, you know, freeform it. Okay, so press it down. You want it to be more flat so that it is prettier. And there you go. Bake this in the oven. Stick it into the oven, heat it to 350 and bake it for about 25 minutes. And then I'll show you what it turns out. Alright, so this is what it looks like. This is the granola bar or granola bites, depending on how you're going to present it. It's pretty simple, and again, this is just one way for you to use those really ripe bananas. And it's pretty good. I would let it cool down a little bit before you cut it up and store it. Otherwise, this is good to go. And I'll see you again next week.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy later years with energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies show signs of things just aren't the same as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing recovery time, and sleep all go downhill. If you had physical trauma that happened to your body like I did, this happens much faster. I felt like a 30-year-old trapped in an 80-year-old body. But do you remember as kids, the boundless energy we had, how fast we recovered? This is not because of getting old, but because of active stem cells inside our bodies. These are the cells that can generate and regenerate all the cells and structures in the human body. They are the building blocks of our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an innate repair system everywhere inside the body. But as we get older, stem cell activity slows down, become less effective in repairing damage, and decline. By the age of 20, we only have 1 billion stem cells left. By 30, they decline by 60%. By 50, they decline by 75%. 60 by 9%. And by 80, we're lucky to have 50 million active stem cells. But what if we can naturally stimulate our bodies to reactivate and regenerate new stem cells through phototherapy without drugs? Now we can with our LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patches. Reclaim your youth and look younger, feel stronger, perform better, and heal faster. Get your patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. It's not anti-aging, it is reverse aging.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. So, what do you think of our guest today?
It was interesting. It's always interesting to hear all these different coaches and doctors on how in dealing with negativity, negative people around them. And he had some pretty interesting concepts. And got to try them out.
It's interesting. I mean, Tony Robbins tells about his basic human needs, right?
Correct.
Validation is one of them. And validation is actually what gives us most of the negativity, anxiety, all that. So it's an interesting talk.
Exactly. So next week, we have another friend of mine that I met, Zach Fink. He's going to be talking about finances, how companies can be a little bit more independent. So join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST. You can watch past episodes at watche360tv.com in the Vitality TV network or on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and how we can help you live a chronically healthy life, visit us on our website at chronicallyhealthylife.com.
And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for our show, please comment on our Facebook page, Chronically Healthy Life, or email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com. See you next time.
See you next week.
Hello, we are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.